Hi everyone, it's Sloane Ketcham and you are watching The Good News, only found here on sloaneketcham.com, where we focus on a mind, body, spirit approach to what's happening in the world. Have you ever thought about having millions of dollars and then deciding that you were going to give it all away? Well, I know a special person in my life who decided to do just that. Everyone, this is Uncle Kokua.
By the way, I want to correct one thing. I'm not going to give it all away. I give away a lot of it, but I keep enough money so I have enough money for lunch, for a sandwich.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
Okay.
You
Keep
can't
a
give
few
it
bucks
all
for
away.
myself, yeah.
Although he's very modest, the truth is that you set out to really make an impact in our world. For those of you who don't know, Mark brought me on about a year ago to be his assistant in a wonderful show called Uncle Kokua. And I had the privilege of really helping you to make a difference in our islands. And it inspired me and inspired a lot of other people too. So the question that I always get from people that have either seen me on the show or have watched the show is, how did Mark make his millions?
Well, to kind of give a brief summary or whatever, I guess. I grew up in Wisconsin. It's from kind of, I'd call it a lower middle class family, but my parents basically didn't have a lot of money, kind of a, small little, modest home. We didn't go on vacations. We didn't have, a lot of the luxuries that money can buy. So it was a pretty simple existence. I think from not having much, it made me have a desire to want more. When you don't have something, I wanted a nice car. I wanted to go on a vacation. I wanted to buy some nice clothes, and I didn't have any of that. So maybe that gave me more drive to go out and, make some money. But the way I actually made most of the money, there's a long story, but the short end of the story is when I got out of college, I bought a duplex. And I remember that duplex, it was $15,000 back years ago when things were a little cheaper. And I bought it, I think, with like $1,500 down, which was probably my life savings at the time. I kept the duplex for a couple of years, sold it, made $5,000, took that money and used it as a down payment on a fourplex. And then I bought an 8-unit and a 12-unit. And I kept doing this, and I've been doing it for probably about 35 years. And over time, I rolled that one investment into many thousands of apartment units and industrial buildings and a pretty extensive real estate portfolio that all started from just one little property.
So if you were to give someone advice, taking this economy right now, because there was a time where a lot of people were so interested in real estate, right? And as the market, I'm not a professional, but I pay attention, as the market kind of picks up, there's now a lot of other people that are interested in getting into the real estate game. What advice would you give to them?
Is to be successful or specifically for real estate?
To be successful.
Okay, because they're two different things, okay? I've actually done some speaking at a few universities, and they've had like a University of California, San Diego, UCSD. I once did a speech. It was called Entrepreneurial Workshop. And the people in the audience at the speech were people who were basically young people who wanted to see how to become successful. So it wasn't really for me to go up and brag and say I've got a fancy house, fancy car, but basically talk about my story and then the lessons that I learned that could apply to them. So if we're talking about that, some little lessons that I've learned to share with the world, I'd say. Number one, I'd say have a good reputation, okay? Because whatever you do, whether you're a painter, whether you're a real estate man, whether you're a contractor, whatever you set out to do and you want to get better and better with it, your reputation is very important, because from your reputation, you're going to get more business, you're going to get business contacts. And if you think about that, hopefully build a good reputation, because if you have a bad reputation, if you're dishonest with people or you do something that's not quite right, it's going to come back to bite you in the butt. So I think having a good reputation is extremely important in whatever you do. Another thing I just touched on, honesty. I think honesty is very important. I think be honest. At times when I've had to make decisions about me against an employee or against, buying a property and negotiate or whatever it is, I try to sit back and not only look at what's favorable for me, but to try to do something and to be an honest person. I don't want people to say that Uncle Kokua is dishonest. I want to be honest. And again, that's important, I think, in building a reputation. Also, think of something that you like to do and forget about the money, because if your only goal is to make money, you know, it's a little tougher to do. But let's say you're a painter and you want to be the best painter since Picasso, you know, and you just put your effort and your creative talent and all your enthusiasm and love into that, then eventually you're going to get better and better, and eventually the money will come. When I got into real estate, you know, sure, I wanted to make money, but a lot of it, I loved the idea of wheeling and dealing, of buying a property, fixing it up, renting it, selling the property, just, you know, the wheeling, dealing aspect of it. And I was good at that. So I think have something that you like to do and pursue it with passion and do it well. Another piece of advice I give to people is things don't usually happen overnight, okay? Usually, you know, people come in and I have a beautiful house, for example, in Hawaii, and they go, oh my God, what a beautiful house. They act like I won the lottery or something. And the comment I say, yeah, thank you, it is a beautiful house. It only took me 35 years of working to get it. And so usually, in most cases, it's not like winning the lottery, but it takes time. And so you get something and you stick with it. And in my case, I stuck with real estate for 35 years, month after month, year after year. And if you do something long enough, you're probably going to make money. So those are just a few things I think that would be good advice for anybody trying to be successful.
Those are really good. All of those are really good. So, along with your, you know, choosing something that you really love and tapping into that passion that you had just talked about, how did you know that real estate was your passion, or was it something that just ended up developing over time?
I think it kind of happened almost by accident. I remember the reason I got into my first investment, I was in Madison, Wisconsin, where I grew up, which is a college town. And my mother had a lady friend, and she owned 3 or 4 rental properties, and she used to rent to the students, okay? And so I used to overhear her talking what a good business it is, and she made this cash flow every month, and kind of, you know, had my eyes open, even though I was fairly young. And all of a sudden, one day, after hearing all her stories, I said, okay, I'm going to buy like a little duplex, little 2-unit building, and just kind of jump in and just did it. And I think after doing it and then selling it and you're making money, and back in those days, if you sold something and made $5,000, $5,000 was a lot more then than it is now. And so I think it was just kind of like, I kind of was interested in it. I liked to be a wheeler dealer. I was a bit of a salesman. And I think as it happened, and as I made more money, I got more into it. And it just kind of happened. But I never thought when I got into it that it would be as big as it was. I remember when I was getting out of college, I once thought, if I could be a real estate investor and if I could make $50,000 a year, that was my goal. $50,000 to me was a lot of money, and to be my own boss. And what I accomplished, you know, was many, many, many times more than I ever visualized. So like what I have now as far as my income, my house, it's really more than I ever dreamed of. But it happened, and I worked hard, and I deserve it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Out of the 35 years, and it took you to get to where you are now, could you pinpoint like one of the hardest times that you were in, or something that happened that was very, very trying for you, and then how did you overcome that?
Are you talking about business-wise?
Business-wise or personally, either one.
You know, I'd say as far as business-wise, I remember buying a property maybe 10, 12 years ago in Florida. It was a retail property, okay? And it was $8 million for a retail property in Boca Raton, Florida, which is like a very affluent, you know, kind of like a Beverly Hills type area. So very prime property. After I bought it, about a year later, the market crashed, and the property was just nosedive in value.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the tenant that I had went broke and stopped paying rent. So all of a sudden, I have a huge mortgage to pay, and also no money coming in.
Right.
And I tried to rent it, nobody wanted to rent it. I tried to sell it, nobody would sell it. The property was worth way, way under what I paid, so I ended up actually just giving it back to the bank. It's like a deed in lieu of foreclosure. They don't foreclose on me, I want to give it back. The bank basically took it and resold it. But in a transaction like that, I lost a lot of money. And I've had a few situations like that. I think when you do something, although nobody likes to lose a lot of money, the trick is to win more than you lose. So I can say, okay, I did this one deal and I lost $4 million, which is a lot of money, but then I could say I had 50 other transactions that made money. So as long as you win more than you lose, really, that's what's important. But not every situation is good. You have some good ones and some bad ones. Hopefully the good ones outweigh the bad.
That was a good one. That was like a major tweet or post or something. Win more than you lose.
Sure.
Uncle Kokua.
Uncle Kokua said that.
Yes, he did.
Win more than you lose.
I like that.
And
I'm
if you're
gonna
good
take
at what you
that
do,
home
it's
with
not
me.
hard. You usually will win more
Yeah.
than you lose.
Right.
And don't give up when things are bad. You
Yeah.
know, just keep plugging away.
Okay, so let's talk personal.
Personal as far as things that were devastating in my life, I would say probably one of the biggest would be my wife passing away. I was married for 29 years to a wonderful woman, and about 10 years ago she died because of complications from diabetes. So when that happened, you know, that was just a big change because she was my childhood sweetheart. We went to college together. We were like, you know, almost my first girlfriend and like soulmates, and we raised a beautiful family together. And then all of a sudden your life changes. So that was, you know, that was very, very sad. And even to this day, it's been 10 years, you know, I still miss her. In fact, her and I, we grew up in Wisconsin, but we spent the first 5 years of my married life in Hawaii. And we had a little apartment in Hawaii Kai, and then we bought our first house together, back when houses were $50,000, back in Kailua in Shannon Lake. So her and I spent years together in Hawaii, and even to this day, when I go around, you know, Kailua or Hawaii Kai, in fact, just the other day, I went by Hawaii Kai, I drove by, and I thought, hey, that's the apartment that me and my wife first lived in right when we got married. So, you know, I think when you love somebody, you know, it's always in your heart, and there'll always be some sadness, but life continues, and I'm just glad that we had a lot of good years together. So that was definitely a big change in my life, and a very sad thing to have somebody that you love pass away.
A lot of people ask me why Mark gives so much to Hawaii, and why, you know, where does he live, and does he live here and stuff. And I think that just by that answer, you might have kind of answered that question.
What happened, kind of going back again, when my wife passed away, after she died, I went over to the Shiley Eye Center, which is at UCSD, University of California, San Diego.
Okay.
And they do a lot of work helping people with their eyes who have, glaucoma, or people who may go blind, or people with diabetes have a lot of eye problems. So my wife had went to this eye clinic on a regular basis. She had cataracts, they did different procedures in her eyes, because a lot of people who have the kind of diabetes that she has end up losing their eyesight. So she went to them 100 times in the last couple of years of her life. After she passed away, I went to the eye center, and I met with the director of the eye center, and I said, you know, you guys did so much to help my wife. Can I do something? Can I give back to you guys? Can I give something back? And he suggested different things, but they were all based on financial contributions. You know, I could give some money for this or some that. And one thing he talked about was they needed a new wing on the building. And the new wing would basically have doctors and research to help other people with diabetes and other people who have various eye problems. And basically, to build that wing, I gave $1 million check to the eye center. And that was probably my first big donation. I did a few small things, but that was probably the first big thing I did. And after doing it, I felt good about it for a lot of reasons, because I thought, okay, I'm helping other people. My wife isn't with me anymore, but in her name, we're helping others, which is a nice thing to remember her by. And then also after that, I did more things, and I started getting involved helping some people with cancer, or some homeless people, or some people with multiple sclerosis, and different causes one by giving somebody some money here, or maybe, remember there was a story we did in Hawaii with a lady who had stage 4 cancer,
Yes.
and she's also living in her car, she's homeless. So, you know, I'm not God, I can't cure the cancer, but we did is we got her an apartment. We took her off the street, and she was able to at least live the last several months of her life in some dignity and some safety. And something I don't know if I ever mentioned to you, Sloane, but about a month or two ago, I got a nice email from that lady's sister on the mainland saying, thank you so much for what you did for my sister. So I guess what it all boils down to is this. I've been very fortunate in my life that I've done very well, and I've probably made more money than a person needs. And once you make a lot of money, and once you have the nice house and the nice car, and you go on a vacation, and you have the things that money can buy, then I don't think you need more. I'm a simple guy, you know, hey, I wear t-shirts and shorts half the time. I don't have fancy jewelry around my neck or whatever. I'm a pretty down-to-earth guy. I try to be that way. And so I thought, rather than making more, I try to find causes that I believe in and perhaps give donations and help other people. So I believe in giving back. I did it as part of the TV show that we did together, Uncle Kokua, and then about a year or two ago I was on Secret Millionaire on ABC, which the theme was the same, helping people by giving money to help people who are in need. So I've been doing this. I like doing it. It makes me feel good, and in the future I'm sure I will continue to do it, up until the day that I die. It's a good thing to do.
Well, you've inspired me to do whatever I can in my own life to give back. And so whatever businesses I start or anything that we do, we always add a social entrepreneur side of it so that when we have events or we do something, we donate a portion of our profits to whatever cause that we're looking at for that event. And I know that there are a lot of other thousands, if not more, people that are inspired by what you're doing. So on behalf of myself and everybody else, thank you for doing that hard work.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Let me mention this too, Sloane.
Yes.
It's for people who are watching. If other people want to help, because I get emails all the time from people saying, hey, I admire what you do. I wish I had millions of dollars so I could do it. But a lot of people don't have money. The truth is most people kind of barely get by. It's expensive, cost of living, and so they can't do it. But to the people that just can't write a check for $1,000 or $10,000 or $15,000, what I always say is volunteer your time. One thing my son does that I'm very proud of is once a month, him and his little office staff he has, they go down and they feed homeless people in the town in California that he lives in. And I've done the same thing with homeless people, like on a food line for Thanksgiving or Christmas. And so people can do that, whether it's the homeless or a hospice center. There's always people looking for volunteers. And even if you volunteer your time once a week or even once a month, if everybody did that, it'll make you feel good and it's helping out other people. And if everybody did it, it would be a better world. And it doesn't cost any money.
That's right. I agree. Okay, so let's talk giving back while we're on that subject. The hot topic this morning is Kailua resident Uncle Kokua saves the fireworks for the 4th of July in Kailua. Tell us why.
I received an email maybe 3-4 weeks ago from them asking basically if we wanted to give a donation for the fireworks. Every year they raise money for the fireworks. They go to local business people who raise money. Just people who live in the community raise money, but it's $5 here, $50 there. And I think they had to raise about $55,000 for the cost of the fireworks and then the permits and the police, extra police. So that's about what it cost. The fireworks has been a tradition in Kailua for 65 years. There's always had fireworks. Last year they didn't do it because they didn't quite make enough money. And this year, as of a few days ago, they were like $25,000 behind. And so I heard about it, and I thought, you know what, when I was a kid, I've always loved, remember when I was a little kid, growing up in Madison, Wisconsin, I lived 3 blocks from a park and a zoo, and every year they had the fireworks there. So that was the highlight of my year, to see all the cars and the excitement and the fireworks in my own backyard. And the fireworks are a very important part of the 4th of July. And I said it's something I want to do for basically the kids in Kailua and the kids in Hawaii. So I called the people up. I said, how much you need? They said, oh, $25,200, whatever. I said, come on over. I gave them a check. And because of me, basically there will be fireworks the 4th of July this year in Kailua. So I'm happy to do it. I've already received a lot of phone calls. People have heard about it and telling me thank you. And I guess I'm a big kid at heart, and I love fireworks, and it'll be great. So we will have fireworks this year, thanks to my check.
Yay!
Yeah. So not every check we give is for people dying. I mean, sometimes it is, but even things like that, I thought was a good cause, and it's kind of for the kids. So.
Okay, so it leads me to our last and final question, because I get this a lot, and the question is, I want to write to Uncle Kokua. I want Uncle Kokua to help me, and how is he gonna? How does he decide?
You can write to me anytime you want. My email is Uncle Kokua.
Okay.
Kokua. I can't spell. At AOL.com.
Okay.
Okay. However, I will say this: I get tons of emails from people asking for help, for money, for whatever. Okay. And I help some, but unfortunately, most of them you have to turn away. You know, when you get 1,000 emails a month, it's impossible to help everybody.
Yeah.
You can't. Okay, but from those 1,000, I pick one here and one here and one here, and so some of them I help. So being very upfront, I don't want to discourage people. The odds are strong you're going to get turned down because of the volume of mail.
And don't email
But
me.
Don't email her. But if you need some help, or you know of somebody that needs some help, tell me the story. Write me an email, and maybe I can help. I do what I can. I can't help everybody, but I do try to help some people. So
I love
do what I
that.
can.
So that's the message of today. Do what you can to give back. Persevere through challenging times. Don't give up, and find your passion.
Good advice.
Yeah?
Do those things, you'll probably be successful. And you'll be so successful that I'll come and I'll borrow money from you in a few years.
Okay, sounds good. All right, well, thank you very much for your time.
My
Thanks.
pleasure, Sloane. Thank
Thanks
you.
for inspiring us to give back and for everything that you've done in my life
Thank
and
you.
everyone else's.
I enjoyed working with you and look forward to doing more things in the future. More things that are fun and also for good cause and helping people.
Thanks for watching The Good News, found here on SloaneKetcham.com. So as always, go ahead to the link below that says sign up and subscribe to our email list where you can get the good news delivered to your inbox on Fridays, and we give you nothing but love and the good news. Thank you and have a beautiful day.
Good job.